Hello kids, welcome back to American Textbook Reading. In this lesson we're going over Life Science Part 1. What is the subject of Part 1? We're going to be talking about what plants need to grow. What do plants need to grow? So in this lesson you will discover what plants need to grow big and strong. Everything needs something to grow big and strong. You need something to grow big and strong. Animals need things to grow big and strong. But in this lesson, we're going to concentrate on what plants need to grow big and strong. So, are you ready? Let's get started. There are actually six things that plants need to grow big and strong. The first one is sunlight. Sunlight. What is sunlight? Well, of course, we know we have the sun. It rises every day. And it gives us light. And that is what sunlight is. Sunlight is the light, and of course we have that word again, the light from the sun. We put these two words together and we get sunlight. It's very warm, isn't it? If you go outside, let the sunlight on your body. It's very warm, very nice. That's sunlight. It helps plants to grow. It also helps us to grow a little bit. I mean, if we stay inside out of the sunlight, we're not very happy. So go out, enjoy the sunlight. It'll make you happy. Of course, if it's not too cold outside, right? Okay, so that's the first thing that plants need to grow. What's the second thing? The second thing is air. We need air too, of course, but plants need air as well. Air, if you take a look at this picture, most of this picture is air. All of this part of the picture is air, right? This is the ground. But air is the gases that surround the earth. There are many different kinds of gases that surround the earth. We use some of those gases. Plants use different gases, but they're all mixed together, and we call that air. We cannot see air, right? You can't see it. It's invisible. But it is everywhere. It's in this room. It's in the room that you are in right now. And just as we breathe air, just as we need air, plants also need air. Okay, so that's the second thing that plants need. What's the third thing that plants need? Let's take a look. Water. Of course, water is very important. How do we describe water? How do we define water? Water is basically a liquid. Remember, we talked about a liquid is something that can flow. It doesn't have any shape. It can move from one place to another very easily. It flows. A liquid that is necessary for life. Water is necessary for all life, not just plants. But what does water do for plants? Do plants drink water like we do? No. Plants need water to move food to the parts of a plant. There are nutrients, and you could say like minerals and maybe like nutrients, food in the soil that the plant needs. How does the plant get those minerals out of the soil? It can't do it if it's dry, but if it's wet, the water helps move the very small minerals up through the plant. And that's how plants need water in order to get the food that they need to live. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. What is the fourth thing that plants need? Let's take a look. And that is space. Of course, everything needs space, room to grow. If a plant cannot grow if there's no space, right? Where is it going to grow? Especially think about a tree, right? A tree needs a lot of space to grow. So if you take a look at this picture, right, you see that there is space between the rows. Space is the area available for use. So if you have space, you have area that you can use. It is available for you to use that space, that room. If there is space, a plant can grow big and strong, right? If there's enough space between the plants, these plants can grow very large. And of course, if you think about the trees in the background, they need a lot more space, right? If there's a small tree and it's trying to grow and there's too many trees around it, that small tree cannot grow very well. It needs more space to grow big and strong. Okay? So that is space. What's the next thing that plants need? The next thing is soil, right? I talked about that a little bit before. When we talked about water, we said there are many nutrients. There's many ingredients in the soil that plants need to grow. This looks like very good soil, right? Looks very rich and very nutritious for the plants. That's good soil right there. Soil is where plants grow. Soil is the top part of the earth. But remember, not the entire earth is covered with soil. If you go to the desert, there's no soil in the desert. It's just sand. So in order for plants to grow, we have to find very good soil. And we call it, it's the top part of the earth. Sometimes people call it topsoil. And if it's very rich and dark brown and wet like this, that's really good soil for growing plants. Farmers really like that style. Okay, so the next thing that plants need is warmth. Warmth is the state or quality of being warm. Are you warm right now? That means, you're comfortable, right? You're not cold. You're warm. Take a look at these plants in the picture. They look like strange plants, don't they? Actually, we can't see the plants. It looks like straw things have been put over the plants. We could say that somebody, maybe a farmer or somebody who's caring for the plants, put these straw hats on top of the plant. We could say that these are like plant clothes, right? These are clothes for plants. Of course, you don't see this all the time, but what the farmer or the person who is caring for these plants, what are they doing? Why did they put these things on the plants? To keep them warm. If the plant gets too cold, it will die, right? Just like any living thing. If it gets too cold, it will die. So somebody is protecting these plants by putting plant clothes on the plants, right? Actually, don't say plant clothes. It's just kind of a funny thing. But it looks like these straw coverings. These straw coverings are on top of the plants to keep them warm and healthy. Okay. We have another word here. Carry means to take something from one place to another. Carry. If I carry these pens from here to over there, I'm carrying them. What are these butterflies doing? And there's a bee here too. What are these insects doing? Here's a little ladybug. Ladybugs are cute, aren't they? They're very cute. But these insects are carrying pollen from the plant, one plant to another plant. They're helping those plants to live. So to carry is to take something from one place to another. Okay, let's move on. We have ground. Ground is the earth where plants live. So this is an interesting shaped piece of ground. Of course, it's supposed to look like the earth, right? But basically, plants grow from the ground. Now remember, not all ground is good for plants. We need soil. This looks like good soil. But plants don't really grow well in sand in the desert. That's why there are no plants in the desert. So this is good ground for plants to grow. It's the earth where plants live, in the ground, Okay. So let's go over the different things, what plants need to grow. I said that there were 6 things. Here's a nice chart showing the 6 things that plants need to grow. First, we have air, right? Air is invisible. We can't see it, right? But it's all around us, and plants need certain gases in order to breathe, right? Plants breathe just like we breathe. They need air. Water. What does water do again? Water helps the plants get the materials from the soil. Water helps move the nutrients, the food that plants need from the soil up into the plant. So that's what water does. Space. We talked about space. Plants need a lot of space, right? They need space to grow. If the plant doesn't have any space, it can't grow to be big and strong. Warmth. Plants need warmth. Again, we can see here, looks like a tree that has been wrapped with the straw. Again, somebody's trying to keep this tree, maybe it's a coconut tree, they're trying to keep it warm by putting clothes on it, right? So it's very interesting. I didn't know that plants had clothes, but here somebody's putting like a protective shield or protective covering on the plant to keep it warm. Okay, because we need warmth to stay alive. Of course, plants also need soil. Soil is where plants find their food. And this, again, this looks like very good soil. It's very dark and rich brown color. It's very good soil. It has a lot of food that helps plants grow. Finally, we have sunlight. That was the first thing we talked about. Sunlight, of course, everything needs sunlight, right? We all need that kind of warmth. We need the energy from the sun, okay? So sunlight is very important to plants. Without sunlight, plants cannot live, right? It's very important for plants to get sunlight. So this is a nice chart to show you what plants need. Okay, so let's move on. Let's do an exercise with the words. Now we've just covered a lot of different words having to do with what plants need to grow. Let's review and let's make sure we remember those words, that vocabulary. Let's go over the first exercise here. The first one is the state or quality of being warm. This one actually is an easy one, right? Because these are our words up here. We have 6 words: sunlight, soil, warmth, water, air, and space. So, the state or quality of being warm, which of these words sounds similar to that? Actually, it's very easy. We can see that it's warmth, right? If we are warm, then we're talking about warmth, right? If we're talking about the state or the quality, the condition of being warm, that is warmth. Warmth is good, isn't it? Especially in a cold winter day. So warmth, of course, is the answer there. Okay, so that one was pretty easy. Let's move on to number 2. The gases that surround the earth. Now, we don't have a similar word here, but remember what we talked about, the gases that surround the earth. We need this to breathe. Plants need this to breathe as well. We can't see it, but it's everywhere. Can you remember what it is? If you guessed air, that's correct. Gases that surround the earth, that is air. And all living things need air to breathe. Okay? So let's move on to number 3, the light from the sun. Now this one's going to be easy, right? The light from the sun, because we already have it. We have sun and we have light, right? So right there we can see sunlight. That's right, the light from the sun. So we have sunlight. So of course that's a very easy word to think about. We're just putting 2 words together. The first word sun, the second word light, sunlight. Okay? So those are the answers for these 3 exercises here. Let's move on, and we have 3 more exercises to go over. Again, the same words. Okay? So let's match these words with their definitions. We have number 4, the top part of the earth. So the top part of the earth, the very surface of the earth, when you go outside and you play, you're probably walking on this part, especially if there's grass, if there's a lot of plants around. If you're in a desert, right, you're not going to find a lot of this, right? But hopefully you're playing on grass, you're playing in the forest. What is under your feet? What is that? At the top part of the earth, if you choose soil, that is correct, soil. Plants need good soil to grow big and strong. Okay, so let's move on to number 5. A liquid that is necessary for life. All life needs this liquid. It's a liquid. Remember, there are 3 types of matter. There's solid, there's liquid, and there's gas, right? But we're talking about a liquid. Which one of these is a liquid? Air is a gas, right? But water is a liquid. So water is the liquid here. A liquid that is necessary for life, well, that of course would be water. Okay? Okay. Number 6, the area available for use. So everything needs room. We need, what kind of word can we use for room? Another word for room? Of course, that word is space. Okay? We need space, and that came up right there. Space. So an area available for use is space. Okay? We all need space to live in, and of course we as human beings, we need a lot of space to move around and play and work and live in. Plants also need space because they need to grow, they need to expand. Okay? So space is needed by plants to be able to grow. Okay. Let's move on here. Let's take a look at a couple of different interesting plants here. We have insect-eating plants. Did you know there was such a thing? A plant that eats insects? Well, that's pretty cool, isn't it? We have two different kinds of plants here. Now this plant, this looks kind of interesting here. What's going on? This, of course, is a Venus flytrap. The Venus flytrap opens its leaves and then catches the insect, and this poor fly right here, he's been caught in the Venus flytrap. That's one way that plants will eat insects. This is another type of plant. This is called a pitcher plant. Now take a look at this interesting part of the plant. In this case, the plant does not close around the insect. In this case, the insect goes inside. It smells something good and it goes inside there and it gets trapped. It can't get out. And then the plant will eat the insect. These plants grow in areas where the soil is not that good, or maybe the soil is too far away. These plants may be growing on trees. They cannot reach the soil, so they have to find their food in a different way, and they find their food with insects. Let's take a look at a Venus flytrap in action, okay? Let's take a look at that. This is a Venus flytrap here. How does it work? Let's take a look here. It's very interesting, very amazing. So what we have here, here comes a fly, right? He's attracted. He smells something here. Oh my gosh! The plant just got the fly. Wow, isn't that amazing? Now that fly, poor fly, he can't get out of there. So the plant will eventually, over a long time, eat that fly. It's not very quick, you know, it takes a while, but the plant will eat the fly eventually. Okay, poor fly, but that's nature. But it's really amazing if you look around. There's so many different styles, so many different types of plants and animals, and it's just very amazing to take a look at nature and see all the different ways that different living things can survive. Okay. Okay, let's move on here. We've got several sentences. We're going to find out, are these sentences true? Or are they false, based on what we've learned so far? So the directions, of course, are circle T for true, circle F for false. So if the sentence is true, we circle T. If the sentence is false, we circle F. Number one, we can see air. Think about that, right? I already said it's invisible. If it's invisible, can you see it? No, you can't see it. If something is invisible, you cannot see it. So this is false. We can see air? No, we can't see air. There's air in this room, but I can't see it. There's air in front of my face. There's air in front of your face, but you can't see it. It's invisible. Invisible. By the way, how do you spell invisible? I-N-V-I-S. Oh, where'd my S go? S-I-B-L-E. Invisible. We cannot see it. Okay. Number two, soil is the top part of the earth. Is that true or false? We talked about soil. Plants need soil to live. Where is the soil? Of course, it's on the very top part of the earth. It's on the top part of the ground, right? So this is true. Soil is the top part of the earth. But remember, soil is not everywhere. I gave you the example of the desert. There's no soil in the desert, it's just sand, right? So soil is needed for plants to grow. It's usually in the top part of the earth. Third sentence, warmth is where plants grow. Does that sound strange to you? Sounds strange to me, because in this case, warmth would have to be a place, right? Is warmth a place? Warmth is not a place, it's a condition. It's a status or quality of being warm. So warmth is not a place. We can't say it's where, right? Where refers to a place, but warmth is not a place. It's a condition or a state, quality of being warm. So this sentence is obviously false. It's not true. Okay. Well, that about wraps it up for this section of the lesson. I hope that you've learned a lot. Let's take a short break here. Hello, everybody. Did you have a good break? It's time now to go over the reading section for this lesson. So we have a passage here. It's a short essay, we could say. And of course, it's talking about what we have just learned. We have just talked about what plants need to grow. And we have learned a lot of useful words for this subject. We'll see these words in the reading passage. So let's go over it together, okay? So what we have here, we have the topic sentence. The first sentence is the topic sentence. The topic sentence is, a plant needs many things to help it grow. Many things, right? That's the key right there. So basically this reading is going to be talking about the many things a plant needs to grow. Remember when we did the lesson, we saw that there were 6 things that a plant needs to grow. So this passage will list those things. They'll talk about those 6 different things that a plant needs to grow. We can see several of them already on this first slide. First of all, it refers, of course, back to a plant, right? It refers back to a plant. A plant needs many things to help it grow. A plant needs sunlight, water, and air to help it grow. So already we've talked about 3 things, right? It lists 3 things. Let's take a look at a little description of each thing. First of all, it said sunlight. So what does sunlight do? Sunlight comes from the sun. So that's more description. We have more details about the first item. Sunlight, of course, comes from the sun. It's sunlight. It's not moonlight, it's sunlight. So it comes from the sun. It gives the plant warmth, and that's another thing that a plant needs to grow. So sunlight comes from the sun. It gives the plant warmth. It also gives us warmth too. Okay, so that's the first thing. A plant needs water to grow. Water helps carry food from the soil to all its parts. So we can see a pattern here. We're listing the different things, then we have more detail about each thing. So the next one is water, needs water. What does water do? It carries food. Carries food from the ground into the plant, from the soil. Remember we talked about soil. Soil is the part of the ground, or the top part of the earth, where there are many nutrients, where there is a lot of different ingredients that supply food for the plant. Soil has food for the plants to grow big and strong. Just like you need good food, right? Fruits, vegetables, meat, rice, pasta, things like that. You need those different foods to grow big and strong. Well, plants need soil to grow big and strong. Of course, we don't need soil. Don't eat soil. It's horrible, right? But plants will eat soil. They need soil to grow big and strong. And water helps them get that material, those ingredients that are good for the plant, up into the plant so that the plant can use those things. Water is very important. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We cannot see air, right? Air is invisible. We talked about that. But it is also important for the plant to grow. All living things need air to grow. They need that certain type of gas to grow. Plants grow in the ground. Okay, so plants grow in the ground. We talked about that. The ground is where the soil is, right? So plants grow in the ground, but they also need space around in the ground in order to be able to expand, to grow big and tall. Think of a tree. A tree needs a lot more space than, for example, maybe a strawberry bush. A strawberry bush just needs a little space, but they all need space. Every plant needs space, room in the ground to grow bigger. Okay, so you need room to expand, right? So, can you remember all the important things a plant needs to grow big and strong? We've talked about 6 different things. What are those 6 different things? Okay, let's go over the organization for the reading passage that we just studied. We're taking a look at the reading skill here. We have cause and effect. So if we talk about cause and effect, cause, right, is a condition or something, it's a situation that results or makes something happen, and that is the effect. So the cause is a condition, or it's something that is set up. It's a situation. If something happens, or if this situation is true, then it causes a result. Something happens, something changes. And we call that change, or that thing that happens, that is the effect. So if we take a look here, what plants need? We have a cause. A plant gets these things. If that's true, then what is the effect? What is the change? What happens as a result of this condition? Now over here we can see that a plant gets several things. We've talked about the 6 things that a plant needs, right? And those are kind of listed here. We need to fill in the blanks here. We have 3 things that are already in this box: warmth, soil, and space. Those 3 things are there. We need 3 more things to complete this box. Down here are our clues. Now be careful. We have something strange here. We have IR. Well, we have to match it with the first letters. See, we see the first letter of these words. That helps us, right? That gives us a clue as to what to put in these blanks. So we have we have atter, and we have unlight. Okay? But that's kind of easy for us because we can match them with the first letters of the word. Here we just have big and strong. That's just by itself. Okay? Let's go over these. A plant gets A. A is our first blank that we need to fill in. Which one of these words needs an S at the beginning? And what is something that a plant needs as well? S. Sir? No. Satyr? No. Sunlight. There we go. Okay, so a plant gets sunlight, right? That's one of the things that it needs. It needs warmth, second thing. Here we have another word that starts with a W, right? Warmth. We need something else that starts with a W. Over here we can find, it's probably this one, right? Water. Sunlight, warmth, water. Another thing, A starts with an A. It would probably go here, right? A-I-R, air, soil, and space. So a plant needs sunlight, or a plant gets, that's a cause, a plant gets sunlight, warmth, water, air, soil, and space. Those are the 6 things that a plant needs. Now, if a plant gets those things, that is the cause. What is the result from this condition or this situation? The result, the effect, is that the plant grows. What will the plant do? It will grow, of course, it will grow big and strong. That is the effect. That's the result. That's what happens if this is true. So that's what we're talking about here with cause and effect. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. We're going to review the proper words for these exercises, reading comprehension. So we need to choose the correct answer. We have 3 choices, A, B, and C, to fill in the blank for these sentences. Let's take a look at number 1. Number 1, beep, has food for plants to grow. We talked about this before. Where do plants find the food they need to grow? Do they find it in sunlight? Do they find it in air? Or do they find it in the soil? Right? We talked about this before. If you choose soil, that is correct. Soil has food for plants to grow. Sunlight doesn't have food. You know, food's not coming out of the sun, right? The sun is sending out warmth and energy, but not food. Air doesn't contain food. It's a gas, right? We breathe air, but we're not getting our food from air. Soil is where plants get their food, okay? Okay, number 2, a plant needs beep in the beep to grow bigger, right? So this is a little difficult. We need 2 words here. So as you can see, A, B, and C, there's 2 words. The first word goes in the first blank. The second word goes in the second blank. So a plant needs something in the something to grow bigger. This is important. In the. So the first thing, excuse me, the first thing we're talking about, of course, is that the first thing occurs in the second thing, right? So let's take a look at the choices here. A plant needs space in the ground to grow bigger. Does that make sense? A plant needs space, a plant needs room in the ground where it is, because a plant can't move, right? The plant has to stay put, so it needs space around it in the ground to grow bigger. That makes sense, right? And that is the correct answer, right? A plant needs space in the ground to grow bigger. The other answers don't make sense, right? A plant needs air in the sunlight. Air in the sunlight? That doesn't make any sense. So obviously B is not correct. C, a plant needs soil in the air. There's soil in the air? No, it would fall down, right? So that obviously is incorrect too. The correct answer, space in the ground. That makes sense? And that's what we talked about. A plant needs space, room in the ground in order to grow bigger. Okay, let's move on to the next three questions, or actually the next two questions, right? The first one, number 3, we cannot see air. Beep. Okay, that's a long beep because it's a long answer. Look at these answers. They're very long, right? We have A, B, and C. So, we cannot see air, and then we have a blank. It's very important to pay attention to this part right here. We cannot see. So, air would be the first thing, and then we might have a list of other things. But we cannot see, we can't see these things either. So, let's take a look at A. If we say we cannot see air, water, or soil, right away we find out that doesn't make sense. Because of course we can see water, we can see soil. Remember, we were looking at the pictures. The dark brown soil is very good for plants. We can see that. So this answer doesn't make sense, right? We cannot see air, water, or soil, but they are important for a plant. Doesn't make sense. We can see water and soil. It's true that air, water, and soil are important for a plant. That's true. But it's not true that we cannot see water or soil. So A is not the correct answer. Let's move on to B. We cannot see air, but, oh, okay. So it's not a list. We're talking about air. We cannot see air, but this gas is important for a plant to grow. Is that a true statement? Is air an important thing for a plant to grow? Yeah, you bet. It certainly is an important thing for a plant to grow. So we cannot see air, however, but on the other hand, this gas is important for a plant to grow. So probably B is the correct answer, right? And that's true. B is the right answer. Let's just take a look at C for practice. C, we cannot see air, but it gives food and warmth to a plant. Is that true? If you've been paying attention and you've learned about the concepts we have been studying, you know this is not true. Air does not give food or warmth to a plant. Soil gives food to a plant. Sunlight gives warmth to a plant. So air does not give these things. C is also incorrect. B is our correct answer. Okay? Let's move on to number 4. If a plant does not have enough food or water, okay, so imagine, this is saying, the first part of the sentence is saying, if, in the condition, if the situation is that a plant does not have food or water, what will happen to the plant? We have 3 choices here. A, the plant will get more sunlight to help it grow. That sounds strange, doesn't it? If a plant doesn't have food or water, how can the plant tell the sun, hey, give me more sunlight? That's crazy, right? So that's obviously incorrect. How can the plant get more sunlight to help it grow? That's very strange. It doesn't make sense. Let's take a look at B. B, the plant will move to another area. Sounds great, right? But plants can't move. Plants can't just pick themselves up on the ground and walk on over to another place, right? That's crazy. So B is also strange, right? Plants don't move. Plants stay where they are. We can move the plant. We can carry the plant to another place. But the plant can't do it by itself. So if a plant does not have enough food or water, it will move to another area. Have you ever seen a plant walking? No, that's crazy. Okay, so let's take a look at C. The plant will not grow big and strong. Aha, there is our answer, right? Because if a plant does not have enough food or water, the plant will not grow big and strong. And that is correct. That is the result or the effect of this condition. This sentence actually is a good example of cause and effect. The first part is cause. If, it's a condition. If, imagine, think about this. This is the condition or the cause. If it doesn't have enough food or water, that's the cause. What is the effect? The effect is the result. The plant will not grow big and strong. So, cause and effect. It's a good example of that. Okay. Let's sum up. Let's finish up our lecture with a review of what are the 6 things that a plant needs. So what plants need? This is a good chart. We can go clockwise around the chart and we can talk about the different things. We have the pictures as clues. We saw this before, right? Let's fill in the chart. So, what is this picture of? What is one of the things, one of the 6 things that a plant needs to grow? Of course, whoa, it came in from the top, right? Air. Air is something that the plants need to grow, okay? This picture here, of course, we're focusing on this liquid coming out of this red canister here. What is that? Of course, that is water. Water is needed by plants to move the food from the soil into the plant, so water. Here we can see this picture here. We saw this picture before. It's showing the distance between the plants. Oh, just here with the arrow, but of course we can also look at the other side too. So we need room around a plant. That is the same as saying space. A plant needs space to grow big and strong. Okay, over here, what have we got going on here? We talked about this. I made a joke about the plant is wearing clothes, right? Why do you wear clothes? Why does a plant wear clothes? Because we're cold, right? So what do we need in order to survive? We need warmth. So a plant needs warmth also in order to grow. Over here, we talked about this. We talked about the color. This is important also for a plant. This is where the plant gets the food it needs in order to grow. Everything, every living thing needs food. You don't find this in the desert. What is this? This is soil. So soil is important for plants to grow as well. Our last thing here, we can see what is this very big bright light in the sky? That, of course, is the sun. And what comes from it? Sunlight. So plants also need sunlight in order to grow. This is a good chart of the 6 things that a plant needs: air, water, space, warmth, soil, and sunlight. Okay, well, that was an interesting lesson. We learned a lot about what plants need to grow. So I hope you've learned a lot, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.